Hi sweet friends, it's Lisa here, just stitching, crafting in Jesus. Today I'm here to encourage you to play with color and to draw some color inspiration for your art from fabric. If you don't have any fabric, just choose a fun piece of clothing like a blouse, dress, or a sweater to pull some inspiration from. Maybe it's your favorite tee. This is going to be different from my typical YouTube videos, as I'm here today as a Fearless Summer Camp Field Guide. Our field trip today is on color inspiration. For more information and to sign up for Fearless Summer Camp or Fearless Art, please visit Shauna Klingerman's website. It's linked below. Okay, let's talk color and tiptoe through some textiles. As a sewist, of course, I love all things fabric. I love combining colors and patterns and textures. That's one of the things I love about fabric, is just the touching of the fabric and the threads. I know, I'm a little kooky. During Shauna's Fearless Art course, I took my love of fabric and I applied it to art play. So what I did was, I stepped away from the fabric and thread and I picked up watercolor and a brush instead. Someday I can improvise as Dr. Seuss, right? In Fearless Art, I went ahead and set aside my norm and I went ahead and went for watercolors. So this is one of my best tips of anyone who says that they're stuck or they're not sure what to do. If you're feeling uninspired and you need inspiration in your art, just really the number one thing I learned from Shauna is just to step away from anything that you're typically drawn to and swap it out for something new and different. Something that, like, oh, I've always wanted to try that. So I really dove into watercolor and it really inspired my sewing. It was just amazing how it kind of came full circle. So when I started playing with watercolor and I was looking for just different color combinations and palettes, it was just sort of natural for me to just turn to fabric. Plus I was having a lot of fabric delivered at the time for future projects, and they just became a source of inspiration, and it kind of just started a thing. So I'll just show you a few that I did here. I really loved this natural kind of sketchy fabric, and so I did these fun flowers and then these blooms from the orange and pink, which you'll soon see is one of my favorite color combinations. This is a really fun picnic fabric that I actually had for a while in these little Pyrex bowls, but I made these great tulips out of it. And then these California poppies from this little really contrasty, bright, unique fabric. And there were just different hues of it, so it might not be this bright, but you know, it's a different shade or saturation of the blue and the orange. And these fun paper flowers. And this wonky, unique sunflower. I really love how Shauna talks about pen and ink also. So when you're done with a watercolor, if you're not really loving it, to be honest, you can kind of go in with pen and just make it wonky and fun and kind of sketch on it. And it just adds so much to it. And it gives it some definition. In a lot of cases, it really transforms a watercolor too. And then I did this forest one here. Let's see, it's sticking. There's a tutorial on Let's Make Art and also Scribbles and Grace. There are several different ombre type forest tutorials, and we're going to touch on this in a minute. But let's look at Shauna's color wheel in fabric form. This week she talked about hue and saturation and value. And obviously when we're sewing, we don't really water down the fabrics. We do mix them. So what we're looking for is more of a harmony of colors when sewing. So I thought, okay, well, we'll just pull those same tips over when picking a color palette, looking for harmony, complementary colors, analogous colors, and the triadic color schemes are all very complementary and smooth together. But really, here's the bottom line. All rules aside, if you aren't loving it and having fun, forget the rules. I like to just really simplify things when I'm taking color inspiration from fabric. And basically, if I love it, then it's gonna transfer well into paint. That's really the bottom line. So let's say I'm gonna do a nature or a camping themed entry in my art journal this week, pulling color inspiration from a fabric. If I look at these, many of these don't really evoke the sense of camping. I mean, there's a few. I think there's like a, what is this, like a handkerchief type, a bandana print here. This maybe could be like an evening camping print. You could pull some dark here. But really, if you're looking like, oh, this doesn't really make me think of camping, right? Maybe some of the greens do, this one. What I'm hoping to inspire you to pull is colors that you love no matter the theme or the topic. This fabric in particular, it brings me loads of joy because I love pink and orange. And by the way, so does Stacy Beach. We're pink and orange besties. But I just love pink and orange, right? So I'm thinking I'm gonna do something in my art journal based on this color palette. Maybe you like red and pink and green, like this. Maybe you like purples and aqua. Maybe you like blues and blacks, or maybe you like rainbow and blue, or yellows and pinks. Whatever your like is what I want you to pull. And just base whatever shirt, blouse, fabric that you have that you really love. These are really fun fruits here. I really love this one too. Some pink and orange in there as well. Whatever's bringing you joy, create some art using that color palette. That's the challenge this week. In this one entry, I did an ombre forest using watercolor based off of this really fun forest fabric that I found right here. And I love how it transferred over, it's awesome. I just used one watercolor paint for this, and I just changed the saturation or the value of it from light to dark using more or less. It's a little on the edge, but it's not totally pushing the envelope. You know, it's an aqua tealish forest, but it's still in the green family. So this time around, let's do something way out there. Let's do a forest scene entry using really fun, non-traditional colors based off of this fabric, since I love it so much and it's bringing me all the joy, right? What I like about this is that it really lines up with Shauna's lesson, this particular art entry. And let's talk about that for a quick second. If we're looking at analogous color schemes, these are definitely colors next to each other on the color wheel here, and then here as well. So both of these color combos, this one and this one, although this is a little bit more fun and festive, I think will translate nicely into a calm, comfortable, harmonious feel. This particular type of color entry is touching on the saturation and the values of these colors, from the darkest intensity of the color to the lightest, less saturated version. For those of you that have signed up, the color wheel and the color inspiration handout are both available in the Fearless Summer Camp group on Facebook, so be sure and download them if you haven't already. All right, so without further ado, let's go ahead and move over into my paint workshop, and let's take our color inspiration from this fun ice cream cone fabric and use it in this week's Fearless Art entry. I pulled 3 analogous colors from the fabric, 2 hues of pink, a soft pale, and a bright bold fuchsia, and then a bold orange. Here I'm showing you that I swatched out my color palette so I could see the varying shades of each color, or the saturation. I found my color wheel to be the perfect size circle to trace onto my watercolor paper. Feel free to use any shape that you love. Next, I erased most of my circle so there was just enough to follow the shape, and then primed the circle with water. Here I've decided to practice a few easy silhouette trees before I start painting my project, and I'm using a number 6 watercolor brush. You simply paint one thin line down and then add several horizontal lines across, starting tiny at the top, getting longer in width as you near the base of the tree. And you just repeat this over and over again, overlapping. You'll see here in my practice sheet that when we add another layer of darker colored trees, it begins to add some really great dimension. For my background color, I mixed the pale pink and some of the orange to create that soft vanilla ice cream shade that you see in the fabric. I think that this gives my project a fourth color that really allows the three main colors to stand out. It's really important to dry after each layer so that the colors don't bleed into each other. Then you'll really see this really great ombre gradient effect by the time you're done. We'll want to start painting just above the halfway point to be sure that we leave some white space to serve as our skyline. Once I've done a couple shades of the pink, I move on to the lightest shade of the orange. I then begin to alternate my color using a deeper, darker shade on each row. Be sure you dry each layer and have fun playing with your color palette. finish off my painting, I did some hand lettering, first with pencil, then using a black Tombow pen. Thank you for watching. I can't wait to see your fabric-inspired colors come to life.